Good evening. I'm calling to order tonight's meeting of the Hudson Board of Education. It's Tuesday, April 10th. Please stand as you're able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Board members, you have the agenda in front of you. If there is someone who would be willing to make a motion to approve that agenda.
Madam President, I won't make the motion, but could we move 4D ahead of 4A?
All right, so we are making a motion to approve the agenda, an amended agenda, to move item 4D to the beginning of the recognition section of the agenda. So if there's someone who would be willing to move that amended agenda. Motion by Dan.
Second.
Second by Lynn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we are under recognition. And with that, I will turn it over to Mary.
It's our privilege to work with Representative Dean Knudsen and Senator Sheila Harsdorf. We wanted to take this opportunity to thank them for their ongoing communication and working with us. I can't speak more about their ongoing diligence in making sure we know what's happening in the Capitol, but also continuing to communicate with us. They are good listeners to our ongoing concerns and continue to update me on their efforts and actions that's happening in Madison. As just an example of that, and this is about Representative Knudsen, he made a call to me to give me a heads up about one of the topics that was coming up in the legislature, and that helped us plan for things that were occurring in the future. So that was very helpful to the district. Senator Sheila Harsdorf, I remember there was a time period where every Friday night, I think there were 3 or 4 of those in a row, about 7 o'clock at night, I could almost set the alarm that I'd get a call from the senator to talk about what was happening, to get information from me, and I appreciate both of them continuing to advocate for our interests, and particularly tonight, we want to recognize their work to delay the non-renewal notice dates for our teachers. They helped to advocate for that and delayed it for 2 months, which was very helpful to the district and to our teachers, and so we want to recognize them for that.
All right, so board members, feel free to weigh in. I would just extend my thanks as well. I think the two of you exemplify representative leadership. You have been strong advocates for the district, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the level of direct connection that we've had with you and the communication that you've fed back. It has meant a lot as we have tried to navigate a pretty interesting time as a school district, so thank you very much. Others? No? All right.
I would like to also thank you for your responding when I've called and for responding to our leaders in our district. Thank you so much.
And we would invite either Representative Knudsen or Senator Harsdorf to come forward and speak. No, both of you, please.
Go first. You've never let me go first before. Okay. Well, thanks for inviting us and for all of your service as well, especially Barb as one of your constituents. I know you're going to be honored also tonight, and I've appreciated your service to the school district and the community. One of the themes I think that we tried to address in Madison this year was to empower local officials. It may not have always seemed that way, but I think for those of you that are sitting here, you realize that you do have a lot more ability to make decisions on what's best for the district yourselves. It may be uncomfortable, it's certainly quite different, but evaluation of teachers is one of them. Evaluation of principals and administrators is going to be a little bit different than it used to be. And so we were recognizing that without the collective bargaining contracts, that date needed to be changed. That was just one thing, but there's a lot more going on in Wisconsin that will be good for education. And, we always want to hear your ideas and input. So I think if you've got things that you'd like to see changed, I'd always like to hear about it. So thank you.
Well, I too would like to thank you for your service. It is a commitment, and I know you all have busy lives, and yet it really is important for your participation and for your active role in providing a great education for the students of the Hudson School District. I was at the event at the middle school where it was recognized as one of the top schools in the state, and now tonight you're going to be honoring the principal there again. Good schools don't just happen. Great education doesn't just happen. And you're a part of making that happen here. And we play a role at the state level, too. And that's why our communication is so very important. And I have appreciated the opportunity to stay in touch with you, Mary, as well as a number of you on the school board. I hope you'll feel free to call anytime. We made that change because of people bringing it to our attention. And it's so very important for you to realize that, a number of the bills that I actually got passed this session and have just recently been signed into law, while they don't all deal with education, they were brought to my attention by people like yourselves, whether it was something you saw in your personal life or your professional life or part of public service. It's bringing the issue to our attention, where we can work together to make the needed change. So we appreciate your involvement, your passion for great education, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, we are moving on. Sandy, winter athletics.
Yes, it might seem a little late in April to be recognizing winter athletics, but as you know, we do have some of our winter sports that still in March are attending state events, and so that's why the delay until April. So I'm going to ask our athletic director, Stephanie DeVos, to step forward. And then obviously we have some of our student leaders who will be taking it from there.
Okay, you can all come forward, and we'll just make a line up here so everybody don't be shy. Stay in your group. It doesn't matter what order, just stay in your groups. All the cheer kids. Thank you for having us tonight. I don't mean to look into the sun. Sheila's talked about commitment, and to me that is huge because each and every one of these kids, along with hundreds of others, have made a huge commitment, and we're here to recognize them tonight. And enclosed, you have the Raider Athletics newsletter. Thanks to Jane Branson for putting this together. It's meant to give you the latest highlights of the athletics for the winter seasons. We have tonight, we have left out over the last 2 years, we have formed the Raider Council. And in recognition every year of the seasons, those last couple years, I think we've left out a very important piece, and that is middle school athletics. And with the help and assistance of middle school athletics, and that's a piece where coaches have made the commitments, just as many kids have made commitments with the philosophy of the middle school principal of the year, Dan Koch. we have all come together, and it is a huge piece. A couple years ago, when we started that Raider Council, I came up with a 10-year vision with their help. And in that 10-year vision, and it's been left out with the high school when we do this recognition, and hopefully in the future we can begin to recognize more middle school kids. In that 10-year vision, we stated that there will be a collaborative community-wide sports association program in alignment with the high school programs and the middle school programs. The high school coaches are on the same page as the middle school and other sports associations on how to develop players. So the middle school has been a huge piece that I think has been left out here and is very important. With the assistance of Aaron Mullen, we have put together, we're working very close together to bring these programs together. So Aaron Mullen, it's not in the newsletter, but hopefully in the future we will begin to include them. Aaron has a little bit of information on our middle school athletic programs.
Hello, everybody. All right, just a quick highlight on what the middle school program is all about. Like Mr. Voss said, it is a big part of the community, and all these student athletes behind me here at some point played middle school athletics. What we focus on, I'll talk about in a little bit, but some pretty astonishing numbers at Hudson Middle School. Participation levels are very, very high, and with just 6 sports, in the fall we had 429 student athletes participate in football, volleyball, and cross country. In the winter, we had 132 participate in wrestling and basketball. And then right now, currently, we have 118 boys and girls participating in track alone. So that right there is giving them a taste and hopefully, carrying that tradition on to the high school so they have the same opportunities as these young gentlemen and ladies behind me. So our mission, 3 common points. Like Ms. DeVos said, we want to teach the fundamentals of whatever sport it is, but not only the fundamentals of the sport, but how to play as a team to build that foundation for success when they get to the high school. So we want to teach them how to balance those individual and team efforts. Track, an individual sport, also they need to learn how to work as a team within their sport. So balancing those efforts and understanding how they work together. And a very important one that they can all probably second, how to balance your schoolwork and co-curricular responsibilities. Middle school is a little bit less of a responsibility as far as co-curricular. We practice 4 days a week, and the practice is a little bit shorter. Gives them a good success, I believe, at the middle school level to learn what that's all about, so when they get to the high school level, then they're ready for that next step. So those are just 3 things that the middle school program already does pretty well. And as Steph said, there's a couple things that we're going to really try and promote and improve on in the next 10 years. One really being building that relationship between the middle school and the high school. Maintaining a relationship, for example, between the football at middle school and high school, and making sure that we're setting players, student athletes up for success when they get to the high school level, and also supporting the high school coaches in every sport. So we want to help the students and the coaches all together. And then the last one would be this coming fall, our football numbers have been extremely high, and there's been a little bit of problem with playing time with the players, which has been communicated, and we are going to go to 3 teams per level, which is pretty exciting, which will get a lot more kids opportunities to play, and they'll also have opportunities to play both sides, offense and defense. So there's a lot of positive energy around the football program right now. And then the second part that we're really looking into for the program this coming fall will be the high school coaches are going to come over on Mondays to help out at middle school football practice. Since they practice on Monday nights, they're going to stop over and donate some of their time to help out with the middle school program. So just one quick step to hopefully keep building on that program and build into other programs. So that's kind of what we got going at the middle school. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Aaron.
At this time, I'd like to introduce to you two lovely young ladies, Anna Johnson and Britta Gerard.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Anna Johnson.
My name is Britta Gerard.
And we are from the AMP group, Athletes Making Progress. It's an organization at the high school who gets really involved in all the athletics and community work with either going to basketball games and helping with halftime shows or going to hockey games, all that kind of stuff. And we would just like to take the time to congratulate Jamie Holum, who was the 2011 WISTCA District Coach of the Year. She's the track coach and a biology teacher at the high school, and she has done a great job with the track program. And Jason Swavely was asked by the WBCA, the Wisconsin Basketball Coaches Association, to be an assistant boys basketball coach for the Division I North All-Star team for the North-South All-Star game in June. So we'd like to congratulate him on that as well. And we have lots of athletes here to represent different winter sports. And for boys basketball, we have Max Hawksford, Luke Miller, and Kellen Pearson. For girls basketball, we have Maddie Drewski and Jessie Kirkwood.
And then for cheer and stunt, we have Rachel Montgomery, Kayla Van Allen, Camden Drapo, Gavin Geltz, Ashley Martinez, Mac Parsons, Ashley Boffans, and Carissa Martinez.
For gymnastics, they couldn't make it tonight, but
the captains for the year were Amanda Baker and Brooke Miller. The team finished their season with a 4-3 record and sent 3 girls to state, including Amanda Baker, Olivia Dunlap, and McKenna Dalton. Second team all-conference was Olivia Dunlap, and all-conference honorable mention was Amanda Baker and McKenna Dalton. For the girls hockey, we have Alex Willie and Anna Johnson.
for the boys hockey, we have Daniel Trapiccio and Stephen Berkey. For Radares, we have Nora Allen and Maddie Letcher. For boys swim and dive, we have Jack Boylan.
And for wrestling, we have Tanner Owens and Drew Cranbeal.
Again, thank you for having us tonight, and now the different winter sports will come up and explain how well their seasons went. Thank you.
I'm going first. Hi, I'm Luke Miller with boys basketball, and Kellen Pearson and Max Hawksford are with me. We had a decent year. We were 12-11 overall with a 7-5 conference record. We swept River Falls and both Eau Claire's during the season. We took the number 2 team in the state, Rice Lake, in overtime, which we ended up losing, but it was a close game, and it was a very good team. I think this year what really set us apart from the past 2 years, 3 years, is the team chemistry that we had. We really played together as a team, and everyone, we created a bond between everyone, and even with younger kids on up, we were very close, and I think it helped us out. First team, all conference, we had Kellen Pearson and Alex Herink, and also the all Northwest team was Alex Herink was second team all conference, and he was special mention. And this thing, Swaves, we didn't know that he was a coach of the year or whatever, but that's pretty cool. And we want to congratulate Swaves and wish him luck on coaching that game. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Now we're going to have girls basketball.
Hi, I'm Maddie Drewski, and this is Jessie Kirkwood. We're the 2 senior captains of the team. This year we had 5 of our 6 juniors and seniors make the academic all-conference team, which is the girls have to have a 3.5 GPA or higher. And then we had 2 girls make honorable mention, Jessie Kirkwood and Kendra Wittes.
We had our best memory probably for all 4 years that we played was the youth HBA night, because all the little girls came, their jerseys, and it's really exciting. We signed posters after and stuff for them. And then we had a really young team this year. We lost several games by 5 points or less. And it was really neat to see how hard everyone came and worked at practice each day. And we just want to thank you guys for your support.
Thank you.
Now we have cheer and stunt.
Hi, everybody. My name is Camden Droppo, and this is Ashley Martinez. We are both captains of our cheer team. Throughout our season, also who isn't here is Martha Harrell. She's also a captain. Throughout our year, we do many things with the community. We do many junior cheer camps. So we have all the little girls. They come, they learn cheers, do dances. It's really cute. It's real funny. We take them through the parade at Booster Days. This year, in our competition season, we got first at every competition until state, where we got second. But we were very close to getting first, but it was an amazing year. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow.
And I would also like to, Ms. Robley, could you please come up here? I'm putting Mrs. Robley on the spot, but I would just like to have her say a few words about this season.
So this season was amazing. We have 20 members of our team. There's only 11 here, but there are 20. Some of them are in track, so they're gone doing that right now. Just like Camden said, we took first in every competition. We went to regionals, and we kind of wiped the floor at regionals. And we went to state, and like Camden said again, we were really close, and this is the first we've ever gotten second. We've done fourth the last couple years, but we were pretty excited about second. I think that we cheered louder than some of the teams that got first, so we were really proud of what we did. I have some seniors on here I'm really going to miss. Camden, in fact, is going to the U of M next year, and he's going to do cheer there. Hopefully some of my other seniors are going to cheer at the schools they're going to, but I know the U of M for sure wanted him, so it's good to see that guys involved in cheer and stunt are supported that way. So, Steph, did you want me to say anything else? Oh, thanks a lot.
Thank you. And Camden, as a season Gopher basketball ticket holder, I'm hoping that I'll see you out there doing cheers, right?
Okay, now we have girls hockey, which is us. I'm Alex Willie, senior captain. Rachel Kanoki is also a senior captain, but she is in track, as was mentioned. And this is Anna Johnson, and she will be a captain for next year's team when she's a senior. We had a 6-11-2 overall record, which, believe it or not, was actually an improvement on the year before. So that was exciting to see some improvement. We had a really young team last year, so to see the improvement and the better team bonding this year was great. Conference, we are 1-4-1, but we did have 2 of those losses being within 1 goals and some overtime and that kind of stuff, which is heartbreaking, but at the same time, again, you know, you're getting there, you're kind of getting closer. Our one win was the against the St. Croix Valley Fusion, which I guess is kind of our rival, I guess you could say. 3-time state champions. Mm-hmm.
They're good. So this is only the second time that we've beat them in the last 6 years. So that was really exciting to have them. You know, our one win was a big one. And then when we played them at home, we actually hosted a breast cancer fundraiser. And there were over 400 people there. We raised over $1,000, and we wore, like, so you can see the picture up there, we had pink jerseys that we had made special, pink socks, pink tape on our sticks, so we really got hyped up, and we're really proud to represent it, and we gave the money to the American Cancer Society and the Hudson Relay for Life.
And we had 3 skaters that were named All-Conference, and the 3 skaters were named Academic All-Conference. And that was Alex Willie, Rachel Kanoki, and Sydney Squires.
And then we have 3 seniors that will be continuing in college athletics, whether any of them kind of that we have up here. We have 1 that's track and field, which is Rachel Kanoki, not here. We have 1 in soccer, which is Shannon Hartzell, and then I will be playing hockey at Hamlin. We had 5 seniors graduating, and then we have 16 returning players that all got letters last year. So again, it's exciting to see a good core group continue to come back up. We really tried hard this year to, again, make the experience between the teammates something great that you wanted to take away from it. I don't know, as a captain, it's really important to have the freshmen be just as involved and feel just as much a part of the team as it was for all the seniors and the juniors. And we were able to win the Conference Sportsmanship Award for 2 straight seasons. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It's not always about wins and losses, and I know she was pretty quiet on that last statement, and I have to reiterate because I'm pretty proud, and it's a huge accomplishment for these kids because their hockey team did receive that Big Rivers Conference Sportsmanship Award. So congratulations, that's huge. Thank you.
Now we have boys hockey.
Hello, I'm Stephen Brickney, and this is Daniel Japiccio, and we're with boys hockey. I'd just like to start off by thanking you for letting us come and speak tonight about our past season. This is probably my favorite season out of the three I've had here at hockey, just simply because just the team we had. We had an older team, only two sophomores and two freshmen and only one sophomore, with 10 seniors. So I was kind of skeptical at the beginning of the season. I didn't really know how it was going to work out, but we included everyone, and it was good team chemistry. I'd like to thank the coaches, especially the assistant coaches. They do a lot of behind-the-scenes work that doesn't really get recognized all the time, like getting our gear ready with our equipment and like locker room and water bottles even. They take off work to come in and help with our practices and come to our games, and that shows good dedication to the team. The fans were amazing as usual. I don't know about some of the outfits they wear to the games, but they cheer us on hard, so it was good. People don't really realize how much of a difference the fans make. When you do something good and they all cheer, it really helps us out. It's been a privilege to be part of this boys hockey team for the past 3 years, and the life lessons I've learned, the friends I've made will stay with me for a long time.
So as you can see, our overall record's up there, and we finished third in conference, which is all right, but we would have liked it done better. On top of the 3 players that made all-conference, we had 2 players made all-state honorable mention, and I'm not sure how many got all-conference, academic all-conference, but we did have a cumulative team GPA of about 3.5. So I would also like to thank all the support we had this season. We had a great year, and all the parents and players helped make that work, and I played with a lot of these seniors for about 10 years, and I'm really going to miss them and all the memories we had. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great job also to boys hockey and boys swim and dive, who finished runners-up. And the VRC Sportsmanship Award.
And now we have the readers.
Hello, everyone. So this year we had 27 girls on the team, which is a lot. The year before we had 24, so we added 3 more, and it's a lot to keep 27 girls all working at the same time. So we placed first in jazz and pom in our competition in Chippewa Falls. We also won regional champions in pom, which hasn't happened for like 5 years, so it was a big accomplishment this year for us.
And in Minneapolis, against teams from all over the country, we placed second place in jazz and kick. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Probably my favorite part of this season was having our coaches teach us our pom dance in a matter of like 2-3 days, and then surprising us maybe 3 days before a basketball game and telling us we had to perform this dance at a basketball game, like 3 days after learning it. So that was kind of hard, but it was really cool to go on to win regional champs with that dance.
Yeah, and conference champions, this is our 4th year in a row, so 4P. And we also had 11 of the 27 girls rewarded with all conference honors, and 3 of them received all-state conference or all-state honors, including Corinna Wren, Danny Inman, and Nicole Stig. So it's a pretty big deal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have boys swim and dive.
Hey, I'm Jack Boylan, and I'm the junior captain of boys swim and dive. This year we had our best season probably ever in Hudson history. We finished with a record of 5-2. We got 3rd at Big Rivers Conference Championships and sectionals, but we should have gotten 2nd at sectionals. But this year we had six different events go to state, 4 individual and 2 relays. which we had 6 people go to state, which is the largest state team ever from Hudson. So that was pretty good. 4 school records were broken. One was from 1995. So that was when I was born. That was a long time ago. I want to take a second to talk about Charlie Skinner. He was co-captain of the team this year. He broke 1 school record this year and 1 last year. And he was named All-State in 2 events. And next year he's going on to swim Division I swimming at UW Milwaukee, which is a pretty big deal. So yeah, most events in state history. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to swim. It's not always easy to have a team because it's kind of expensive for swimming because of pool and stuff. But we hope that you will continue to support swimming in the future with programs like HASA and swimming lessons. So thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we have wrestling.
Hi, I'm Drew Cranbulus, Tanner Owens. As you guys know, we had a streak of Big River Conference championships going on, but this year we came up short to Chippewa Falls by 4 points, and then we turned around after that and created a great work ethic to go on to beat them in 2 tournaments. We had an outstanding year. We might not have the milestones that we wanted, but we did better than most years. We placed the best we've ever done at the bi-state tournament, which was one of the hardest tournaments in Wisconsin. We took 2nd in Division I, and we took 4th overall. And then we ended up winning Lakeville South tournament again. And then we had a great, successful year. Even though we came up short, we finished as a team we were 10th in state, and then we lost to the 2nd ranked team in state. And then we also competed in the Shell Lake varsity tournament. We brought our JV team along, and we had many JV kids place in the top 3 amongst that tournament.
Just to talk about the coaches, we have some of the best coaches in the state in any sport. They're so devoted. Coach Hansen, Huff, Kaufman, and Johnson. They do anything for us, and they've really been a big part of everyone's wrestling career and life the past 4 years for me. And I'd like to thank the Hudson, or the Wrestling Association. Like you guys are talking about the middle school sports, we have some good kids coming up next year, and it should really help the team, and we should have a real good team next year. So just keep up the good work there, and thank you.
Thanks to all of you.
I would like to thank the AMP group for making this possible. And we continue to move forward, and we are very, very proud of each and every one of you. Continue to work hard, and best of luck in the future. There are a list of other news items that are in your newsletter. We continue to have educational seminars for parents, athletes, community, and kids. And in the future, we will continue to do that and hopefully get a response positively like we are now, and that more people become involved. Thank you for having us.
All right, following up on that one, Sandy, we have another. Oh, you did? Okay. All right. So then we are doing a recognition for Principal Dan Koch.
Well, Principal Koch, you want to move forward as I make a few comments here? Just last month, it was a big month for Hudson Middle School. First, they were recognized once again, named as a middle school of excellence. And the executive director of the Association of Wisconsin School Administrators, Jim Lynch, was here for that ceremony. And I sat next to him and said, well, when are we going to know about the middle school principal of the year, knowing that Mr. Koch was nominated for that by his staff? And I can only describe it as the twinkle in Jim Lynch's eyes as he said, I will give you a call. And as far as I was concerned, that was going to happen because although I know Mr. Koch feels very honored that his staff recognize his leadership and has nominated him for the Middle School Principal of the Year award, a state-level award. It's like, who else was going to get this award? 2 out of 3 years, the Hudson Middle School, the largest school for 6, 7, and 8 in the state of Wisconsin, becomes the Middle School of Excellence. So, of course, it's great to see Mr. Koch recognized. He has 29 years of service in the profession and 17, was that not right?
39.
39. Oh, that was even worse. Well, I missed 10 years there. Sorry. Wow.
I haven't.
That couldn't seem right, Dan. Okay. Well, that's even more service and contribution to more youth. And, okay, I'm going to check this one. 17 years of service at Hudson Middle School?
Right.
Okay, good. I got one right there. And certainly leadership matters for this school, where it's come and where it's been, and its tradition of student academic success and programs for our students, and the middle school philosophy that Dan has been a great advocate for over his 17 years. So certainly we congratulate Dan. Again, I think we'd all around this table say, who else deserves this honor? So congratulations, Dan.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wait, aren't you going to say something? Don't you want to say a few words?
Yeah, just a couple things. No,
That's what I guessed.
Yes. Now, obviously, I've said on several occasions already how proud I am of the staff and the people that I work with every day. I'm also very pleased, to represent not only them but this school district, this community, in some events that will be forthcoming in the next year. Very pleased and very happy to do that, and also to remember something that was uttered by Hank Ketchum, who was the creator of the Dennis the Menace comic strip, who talked about recognition and accolades, and he compared it to chewing gum. He said, "Enjoy it, but don't swallow." And I think that's appropriate here. This is a moment to enjoy, but there's always more to do tomorrow, and that's what we intend to keep on doing at Hudson Middle School. Thank you.
Bart.
Tom, please.
Just a comment. I just feel like I need to say something regarding Principal Koch. There's a couple of things of note here, I think. I've been in the community now 20 years. Dan came to the middle school 3 years after we were here. And, before ever meeting Dan, I was told about Dan just by virtue of, you really need to meet this principal. He's really something. He's progressive and really on top of his game and really kind of giving a lot of accolades. Well, I've gotten, since that time, gotten to know Principal Koch and even talked him into joining the YMCA Board of Directors. And so that's something that I would like to note to the rest of the community, that he's been involved in our community inside and outside of the middle school. I think of note also is the fact that he's winning this award under the situation where it's probably maybe one of the most difficult, in a sense, from a standpoint of size and capacity and dealing with all of that and teachers on carts and so forth. Finally, probably the highest compliment that he could have been paid was the fact that his teachers, the people that he works closest to, recognize his leadership and his accomplishments. And so I just don't want to, and I know Dan is going to say, well, this is about the teachers. I'm just grateful for my teachers. And while I appreciate that humbleness, Dan, anything that's working and as successful as what you're doing starts at the top. So thank you. And I just wanted to express my thoughts there.
All right. Thanks, Tom, and thank you, Mr. Koch. The next item on our agenda, folks, is a topic for discussion, and it is regarding the April 3rd referendum results. In your materials this evening, you have the results of the vote on the school district referendum that was last Tuesday. A couple of things. Certainly, you're already aware of the fact that it passed by a resounding yes, and maybe as important is that in every district, including the city, the village of North Hudson, the townships, it was a yes vote. And I think that that is the community's message to us and for the work that we've done and the work that the yes group has done on behalf of the school district. And for that, we're profoundly grateful that they believe this is the time for us to invest in the district by acquiring property and building a new secondary school at the St. Croix Meadows Dog Track. I also wanted to remind you of the step that we're involved in right now, which is important in the process, and that is for the city of Hudson to rezone this property from its current zoning status of commercial industrial to a zoning status that would allow us to build a school on that site. A number of us were at the city council hearing last night, and there were folks that spoke on behalf of and not on behalf of the rezoning for this property. Ultimately, what will happen is the Planning Commission will meet Thursday evening this week. They will discuss this issue. They will make a recommendation, we believe, to the full city council for the council's decision, which likely will happen on the 23rd, Monday the 23rd of April. Are there comments regarding the referendum and the results that anyone would like to make? Dan.
Thank you, Barb. Just a comment as it relates to those in the community where they were supportive of the referendum. We certainly appreciate that support. A special thank you to the Vote Yes group. I met a few of those folks along the way, and they're very certainly a committed group to this project, and I just wanted to express my thanks to that group especially, because I know there was a lot of energy and commitment and time and phone calls and door-to-doors that they're involved with. So wanted to especially recognize the Vote Yes campaign group.
Thanks, Dan. Anyone else?
Madam President?
Mark.
Well, first, I would be remiss if I did also not thank the Vote Yes group and all the members of the community that did really overwhelmingly support the referendum. I was cautiously optimistic, but it really did exceed my expectations, and for that I'm very grateful. I didn't have the opportunity to attend the meeting last night. There was issues, obviously, with the quorum of the board being there, so I know we're well represented. But perhaps not having the chance to speak to anyone on the council or the zoning commission, there's a thought I did want to share with them, because I understand that really this is hinging on a few dollars of tax revenue, both present and future anticipated tax revenue on that site. But I want the commission and the council to consider all the assets of this community and what makes any community great. Its parks, its libraries, its school system. And I think if they could only have been here tonight to have seen the contributions of our young people and what an asset the Hudson School District is. And you have to invest in those assets. And unfortunately, our secondary schools are under considerable stress. We all know teachers on carts, class sizes, we have inadequate lab space. The middle school house concept is threatened. And amazingly, still high performing. We have both our district and our outstanding middle school principal, Mr. Dan Koch, recognized as some of the best in the state. But the continued stress won't allow us to continue to do that. I'm quite sure, and I just hate to see that what we've gained lost for a few tax dollars from a Kmart store. I mean, that's not going to enhance the quality of this community. It's our young people and our educational system that really is one of the centerpieces of this community. So the question, I guess, to close is I want the City Council and the Planning Commission to consider the cost of not rezoning this dog track property. I think it's essential moving our community forward.
Thanks, Mark. Anyone else?
Madam President, I also want to thank the S Committee. I thought they did a fantastic job of really getting the vote out, but also being very respectful. I thought it was very respectful dialogue. I thought that they were very proactive and positive in their approach, and they committed many, many hours to the effort. So thank you all for all of your work.
I would like to make a comment that I'm obviously was for the dog track, and I was hoping that the community would come down as it did come out. But I also want to thank everybody, because we are a community. We all are part of this community, and the respect that we can get from each other as we go forward, and that we grow with each other. And I'm thankful for everybody's I don't know how to put it, their involvement, whether it was on my side or not, and that we now will work together and we will grow together and make this work with another referendum, because it's the community that has spoken, and the community will continue to speak, and they'll speak together. And I'd like to thank everybody for their involvement. That's how we work, if everybody comes out and votes. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Mary.
I see Paul Moen over there in the audience, and certainly I want to recognize his leadership on the Vote Yes Hudson. And as you think about all the work that happened and the things that you've recognized along the way, the Vote Yes Hudson group, Paul has been a leader of leaders, of community leaders on that group. And they've worked together to help inform our community about the issues and about the facts surrounding the referendum and the purchase of the St. Croix Meadows. And when you think of these election results for the referendum, I really credit them for their work for the passage of this referendum and the victory that we've received to move forward, and thinking about that vision of a 21st century school on the St. Croix Meadows site. And I just thank them for their ability to have that vision, to hold it, and to share it with our community.
All right. We are moving to the superintendent's report section of the agenda, so Mary, I will turn it back to you.
Barb, do you want to just go back to that topic for discussion so that we can add a couple things that Tim and I want to talk about the next steps?
Please.
So, Tim, you want to get started on talking about what we need to do beyond rezoning to close on the property?
Right. So the next step after the all-important process of rezoning the property will be to obtain financing, of course, and do a bond issue. And then close on the property, and we're anticipating that to be late June. And following that, again, the important community engagement process, and as well as looking at preliminary planning. So we'll be looking for a preliminary planning consultant to come in and help us with that, and as well as looking at the physical plan assessments of the Hudson Middle School, Hudson Prairie, and the Hudson High School.
And you'll be working through the Finance Committee on the certain aspects of that, and facility and grounds on other aspects?
That's right, yeah. Finance Committee for the bond issue, and then Facilities and Grounds Committee for the preliminary planning consultant, as well as the physical plan assessments.
Certainly, we're really focusing on right now working with the city on rezoning the property, and we hope that the city sees the same vision as we see with a school, a secondary school in St. Croix Meadows that will help as a catalyst for economic development of particularly the south side of our community, but all of our community, and bring additional dollars to our retail and lodging and restaurants in the area, as well as just support the vitality of the Hudson community that we've all enjoyed and the quality of life. So as we think about rezoning and looking at that property, and certainly our hope is that it become zoned as public. If that would not happen, certainly we could not close on the property that Tim has just identified those next steps. So there are some additional steps that we've talked about through the referendum, and so rezoning's first, closing on the property, then with the right outcome on rezoning, and then it is moving to the community engagement process. And we've talked about that we'll need to develop a full plan that we'll bring to the Facilities and Grounds Committee. And, it will include surveying the community, focus groups to get feedback, information and feedback sessions, use of our website for a way to communicate and get information from our community, and making sure that we have multiple avenues for people to be able to comment and to provide their input in this process of determining the configuration of the school and what should be on the site. Tim, did you talk about hiring a preliminary consultant?
Briefly, yeah.
All right, sorry. That was on my list, so I'm like, you did, didn't you? So we'll be working through facility and grounds with that and bring that back to you as well.
Are there questions for Mary or Tim on the next steps, whether it be the bonding or the preliminary planning or the community engagement process?
I'd just add one last thing that we probably would take to Facilities and Grounds, that we should consider the UU property. Should we move forward on the rezoning and looking at getting an appraisal of that property and then determining when we would put that property up for sale.
All right, thank you. Now, Mary, I'll turn it back to you for the superintendent's report.
All right. I want to announce the certified election results for the Board of Education. So these individuals have been elected by our voters for the next 3 years. And I want to certainly congratulate Sandy Gerke, who I see in the audience. Oh. Well, congratulations, Sandy. We welcome you to the board. Sandy will take office on April 23rd, and she's working with Diane to take the oath of office to prepare for that, and we'll be talking in the near future. So congratulations to Sandy. She received the most votes with 1,302 votes, followed by incumbent Tom Holland. So congratulations to Tom with 3,472 votes. And then Brian Bell, who was reelected again with 3,269 votes. So congratulations to our newest elected and reelected board members. And we certainly thank Kathy Leaf and John Burtis and Liz Brooke for their interest in the Hudson School District and their willingness to serve on the Board of Education and put their names in for this process. It's been a process that we've learned more about each one of them, and I hope they'll stay involved in the district. So moving on to the next item is recognition of Barb Van Loonen's service on the Board of Education. And Barb has served us in this school district for 4 years. She has been the chairperson of Learning and Program Development for those 4 years, and she's been president for 2 years. I know those people around the table would like to recognize her service, and we have the opportunity to do it here and at the recognition banquet in May as well. So I will make a few comments, and then I'll save a few other comments for that time too. But certainly, we have all recognized Barb's leadership on the board. And she's had, these have been unprecedented times, and leadership has been extremely important. I look at her wisdom. She's been a great, she's given me direction, coached me, and helped guide me through those unprecedented times. And, every time she has made a decision, and certainly those are decisive decisions, they've been right on target. So I deeply appreciate her guidance and the wisdom that she has displayed in this position. I'd say, her dedication to students, to the Hudson School District, to our vision, HSD 2025, is unsurpassed. Certainly we've benefited from that, and in her work and in her guidance, that's always in the forefront. We know that she's brought a strong financial sense to the board, and that has benefited each of us around the table in our work and the board's work, and certainly it's benefited and served our taxpayers as well. So I have had the opportunity to learn from her, and thank you. Thank you so much.
Madam President, I just want to make a comment.
Lynn.
Barb, I personally want to thank you for your service on the Board of Education. You and I have been on the board for, we campaigned at the same time, and so I've come to really appreciate your work ethic and your contribution to the board. There are many qualities that I feel describe your work ethic and commitment to the Hudson community and the school district. But the ones that stand out the most to me are perseverance, dedication, integrity, exceptional communication skills, vision, and initiative. But above all else, I want to thank you for leading this board in very difficult economic times. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President?
I might actually get embarrassed.
You're already red.
Brian.
Thank you. So just first, I got two things to say. Just one, just thank you for your time. All of us on the board understand the tremendous amount of time it takes to be on the board, and also your additional leadership as board president. So that, number one, thank you for that. The second thing I would like to make a comment on, and something that you continued, I think Dan had the momentum as well, is that our board is one voice, and although we may disagree with each other, we do it in a respectful manner, but at the end of the day, the board is one voice. I think it's really important, and you brought that leadership to us, and something that we need to continue in the future, that Mary and the district leadership need to have one voice from us. And there's time, and you've allowed for time for discourse or a healthy debate, but then the board speaks, and we have to speak as one voice. Otherwise, it's hard for people to understand what direction it is that we're giving. So I just want to thank you for that, and that's something that is very important for me to continue in the future. So thanks for bringing that to the board.
Thanks, Brian.
We'll just go down the line here. With all the challenges that that comes inherently with a board position, one of the things that really makes it enjoyable, I think, for me, is the interaction and the give and take that comes from each of the board members as we discuss issues and so forth. And although the public never sees it, there's a lot of debate, and there's a lot of give and take, and it's always been respectful, and it's always been, I think, vigorous at times. And the thing that I've enjoyed particularly about Barb's leadership is the fact that she can sit in the middle of the eye of a storm and really kind of see clearly the issue. And that has been, I think, from a leadership position, has been invaluable to us. From a personal standpoint, I know I've gained a great deal just from, understanding your perspective and hearing that, and the fact that you also listen and are willing to adjust and change your perspective as well. So I think that's a healthy situation. I really couldn't think of a better profile for a board leader than Barb Van Lonen. So,
thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Madam President, first of all, thank you for your dedication and service to the board. And, we've learned that you don't always have to serve on the board to have a meaningful contribution to the school district. So I say that not that we want to see you leave, but I hope that you don't walk away from the school district, and I know that you won't. I know that you'll continue to be involved with the school district and making some very positive contributions. Meg will like to hear this, and then I have an 11-year-old middle schooler that every Wednesday she wants to get the Hudson newspaper, and so she gets that Hudson newspaper, and she just goes through that and absorbs everything in there, and she came across where you weren't reelected, and so we had the conversation at home about because she's heard me talk some good things about Barb, most of the good things about Barb, and so we had the conversation about Barb the other day, and so do you want to hold up your little? So she put together a little farewell to Barb, and I was extremely proud of that. So, Barb, we're going to miss you, but we hope you continue to be involved. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Oh, Barb, I would also go along with everybody, what they've all said. Your leadership has been very good, and I, as the newest member on here, but not anymore, but how you have been patient with me and how you've explained the different rules of order and what is needed, and have helped me and been patient there, and always listening when with my opinion and with what I've said. And you chose me for the learning and development. You said you had a perfect place for you, and I really do. And I've enjoyed it tremendously, and I thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Oh, Barb. What did you relieve me with here? Well, you've been, I agree.
Surprise me,
second of
Barb.
all, I know. Maybe I will. Well, you've been a wonderful collaborative colleague. I think you're crazy smart, and you got a great sense of humor. It's been really a pleasure serving with you. You've got, you've been a strong leader, really with a strong point of view, shockingly sometimes different than my own, but I've gotten over that. And I'll pay you one of the highest compliments I can. I think, and that's you've often made me change my mind.
Well, thank you.
I want to thank you for serving as president. You've been a terrific board president. And I think while we're talking about the referendum, I think that you should also be given a good measure of the credit. You are the voice and face of the board, as Brian said so well. And it was all kinds of hurdles this year. This was really one hell of a year, and you were there at the front lines, and you got us through it. We've been successful, so you deserve special kudos. I'm going to miss you. It's been an honor serving with you.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thanks. Now I'll take some floor privilege. Each of you have also given me a gift over the course of the last 4 years, Pat, in the last year. You are all amazingly dedicated individuals, and I mean that not only of the members of the board, and each of you bring such a unique skill set, but what you share is a passion for making Hudson Schools the very best school district that we can make it. And that's been, it's hard to say it's been fun, but it's been a real joy in many respects to do that. But it's also true not only of the board members. With all due respect to my colleagues on the board, it's true of the administrative team that I see sitting around this table and out there in the audience. You are an amazing, amazing collection of people who are working powerfully to make a difference for the students in the Hudson school districts, and I am certain that most of them don't know the work that's going on behind the scenes. So for me, thank you for the work that you do. All right, can we move on?
I guess that's a hard act to follow, though. We want to recognize our early childhood special ed program. It's an outstanding program, and this is just one example that demonstrates that Pam Morrison, one of our early childhood special ed teachers, who serves at Rivercrest, and she also works in our local preschools to support students. She has been selected to co-present at the annual International Conference on Young Children with Special Needs. And the title of the presentation is, I have it here someplace, Partnership Collaboration, Keys to Success for Student Teachers in Itinerant Teacher Situations. She is co-presenting with Ruth Highland, who is a university professor at UW Stout, and Ruth supervises student teachers. And so this is a presentation that's going to talk about the collaboration to coach and support new teachers to the field. And it's really a combination of the early childhood special ed teachers working together and a model that works with regular ed teachers and with the university faculty to support new teachers, student teachers. And really, we have a great model, and that's being recognized, and certainly we want to recognize Pam and her work and our other early childhood teachers as well for providing very wonderful learning opportunities for these our youngest students.
Are there any questions for Mary? Hearing none, we will move on to the reports, and it looks like we just have one. Sandy, WKCE results and the future assessment changes.
Thank you. As we are all aware, No Child Left Behind requires all states to develop and administer annual tests in reading and mathematics for all students in grades 3 through 8, and then at least once in those subjects in grades 9 through 12. Wisconsin schools initiated the current yearly test in reading and math in fall 2005, and the results encompass all students, including those with special needs, except for a very small percentage that take an alternative assessment. As you are aware, Wisconsin adopted the Common Core State Standards for English, Language Arts, and Mathematics. The district staff continues to attend state and CESA-sponsored sessions to ensure that we both understand and implement the standards at the rigor and depth expected. In addition, Wisconsin is a member of what is referred to as the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium, which is in the process of developing high-quality common assessments, which will be ready for implementation in 2014. Until that time, we will continue to administer the WKCE. Next slide. As we begin and look at our WKCE results, once again we see that when we look at Hudson results versus the state, you can see that in reading, we are once again above the state in every grade level. And the next slide shows us mathematics, again, in every grade level above the state averages. And I want to remind folks that every grade level test was developed independently. So we want to focus on the percentage difference between what we see in our scores in the state. That gap is what's important, and that we strive for consistency in that gap between our scores in the state. So, for example, if you look at grade 4, we are 12 percentage points over the state. In 6th grade, we're 12.9 percentage points over the state. And at 10th grade, we're 14.1. Again, just to drive that point that even though it looks like 10th grade scores are lower, our percentage above the state is actually one of the highest there. Next slide. Now we look at our scores examining reading and math trend data over the course of the 7 years. This data shows the performance of each grade level, again, over the 7-year spans of the testing that we put in place. We see again that the overall trend in district scores in reading are very stable at the elementary level. This slide shows grades 3, 4, and 5. And then the next slide takes us to reading, but now at the middle level, grades 6, 7, 8. And again, you can just see we remain very solid. And when we're up in those levels with the 90% of our students scoring at that level, it becomes very difficult to get much higher than that statistically. So we're scoring very strong. And then one more slide with the reading trend data with grade 10. And you can see this one's a little more visually, you can see a little easier. The the little bits of increments as we grow. There's a 7.6 increase from the first year, 2005, to 2011. Then we'll look at the same kind of trend data, but this time in with mathematics. So we're looking now at elementary, grades 3, 4, and 5. And again, if you look at grade 4, you can see an increase of 7.6 over those span of 7 years. Then we look at middle level, again, some slight increases, but again, the graphs are a little difficult to see. But just to point out, in 7th grade, that is an 8.6% increase over the span of those 7 years. And then we get to the 10th grade, the mathematics, and there's a 4.7 increase over the span of that time. We've, over the past few years, also then been working very hard to increase the percentage of students in the advanced category, in those upper levels. And this next slide then shows us how we're looking in the advanced category in just a few dipsticks. So this one is in regards to, is showing us grade 4 mathematics, just the advanced category. And then we can see that there is a 7.5% increase over the span of the last 5 years. The next slide takes us to grade 6 mathematics, and now we have a 9.7, and you can see last year was even a little higher, but for the first year to this year, it's a 9.7% increase in just that advanced category. And then the third slide is 10th grade English language arts, and we have a 6.4% increase in that advanced category. So just pointing out that sometimes when you see the combined advanced and proficient, it doesn't always show you what portion of that is growing in that top category in advanced. In 2006, we began the process of benchmarking Hudson against high-performing districts in the state. Specifically, we selected Cedarburg, Elmbrook, Kettle Moraine, Mequon, Thiensville, and Whitefish Bay. And then 2 years ago, we started an additional benchmark with comparable size districts in the state that are also high-performing, specifically Franklin Public, Germantown, Menominee Falls, and McWanago. And again, I pulled a few samples for you tonight to share. This is a comparison of only our fall 2011 to their fall 2011. So again, we all have different spikes, hills and valleys from year to year. The first one then shows us grade 6 reading. This is showing the comparable size district. And you can see how we, with 2 out of the 4 districts, we're holding our own when it comes to both the proficient and advanced and the advanced category comparison. The next slide, staying with the grade 6, but now looking at the highest performing districts in the state. Again, we can see that we are right in the same category with 3 of the 5 in our advanced and proficient category, and holding our own with 2 of the 5 when it comes to the advanced. The next comparison is grade 8 reading, and again, looking at comparable size first. We're solid with 3 out of the 4 in the advanced and proficient and the advanced category. And when we look at the next slide and then compare ourselves with the high-performing districts in the state, we're holding our own when it comes to the proficient and advanced, but still have some work to do when it comes to that advanced category. The next slides show the writing test. It only occurs in 4th, 8th, and 10th. But writing is another area that is assessed in the WKCE. At the 4th grade level, you'll see the scores have remained shifted to the right since 2005. That's when we put some really strong emphasis at the elementary in writing instruction, and we've been able to hold that shift to the right, indicating we have more students scoring at those upper levels. The next slide then shows us 8th grade, and again, you can see some of that shift to the right, consistently staying there. The middle school has been working, as you're aware, to increase reading and writing across all content areas in the last year. And in this year, we had 2 percentage of our students, am I saying that? 2 percentages of our, I'm not saying that quite right. 2% of our students, it's like this isn't coming out right. 2% of our students scoring in that 7.5 to 8-point range versus just the 1% we had last year. And this is the 3rd year we had a student scoring in that top category of 8.5 to 9. So some really nice things happening at those upper levels. And then in 10th grade, looks a little different. We're going to try to keep shifting that grid to the right. But what is interesting is over in the far right, what continues to happen over there, because we keep increasing some of our percentages in those upper ranges. For example, we went from 5% to 10% in the percentage of students at that 6.5 to 7-point range. So again, things continue to move. We access some scores from an outside vendor that shows kind of a composite score of results across the state. And if we look at the next slide, based on those composite scores, the high school then ranked 15th out of 58 schools that have a 10th grade enrollment of 350 or higher. And we're one of the higher in those categories. So you can see the majority of those high schools in the 1 through 8 came out of CISA 1, and you can see there's some of our comparison groups, and then some of smattering of different ones in 9 through 14 ranking, and then Hudson at 15th. And then in the next slide, the Hudson Middle School, which we know is doing some amazing things with performance. This year they came in 5th out of 35 schools with an 8th grade enrollment of 250 or more at that 8th grade level. And you can see we're the highest. I added, I think, the number enrolled. So you can see our 400 is substantially above anyone else in that category. Now let's take a little time to look at some of the changes on the horizon just to help us prepare. The current WKCE, as most of us know, has some very limited usefulness for what we want to do and look at in our district. There's not a lot of data there to help us drive instruction and improvement decisions. The test was truly designed for only accountability purposes. And so it's important then for parents, too, to notice that there are other measurements. They need to really look at this as one day, one time, and to look at all the other performance data that their students bring home and that their teachers share for really getting a good sense of what the performance is for their individual child. When we look at the change piece on the horizon when it comes to accountability, the state of Wisconsin has submitted a waiver to the U.S. Department of Education seeking some flexibility to certain provisions of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, or ESEA, and what we commonly now refer to as No Child Left Behind. If those are approved at both the federal and then it comes back and is approved at the state level, these are some of the changes that we're going to see. So that beginning in 2012-13, so next year, a comprehensive accountability index will replace the current AYP system. So right now there's certain criteria like the percentage of students who are scoring advanced and proficient, the percentage of students who are graduating and so on that get us on or off that AYP list. Hudson has traditionally been off the AYP. Now there's going to be some other categories. And there's pretty much 4 areas they're going to look at. Student attainment, so again, the scores on the state test. Student growth, so we're finally going to move to a growth model, so even though there might be students who aren't at that advanced and proficient, are we putting in the interventions in place so they are seeing growth over time? They're also looking at closing the achievement gap between various categories, and then are students on track to graduate and are they post-secondary ready? Some other changes in the next slide show us that the instruction based on the Common Core must be in place by 2014-15, and the assessments will begin also in 2014-15 based on those Common Core. So if you can kind of read with me there, the standards are implemented in 2014, and then we're already going to be assessed against those standards. While there's not a lot of time yet for those standards to kind of roll up and truly all the skills to come with them. So it will be a growth over time. The proficiency on the Common Core will be measured by new systems. Again, I mentioned the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium earlier. And these assessments now will go from fall, our current fall, to spring. They will stay with grades 3 through 8, but the 10th grade test will move to spring of grade 11. And some of that is allowing more time for instruction, as well as the math test truly is getting at more of a Algebra 2, so you need to get students at that end of 11th grade to happen. And then the next slide talks about the proficiency level on the Smarter test will be now benchmarked against international standards, which is pretty huge. So that's a transition because so many of us have designed tests that are state-specific. We only have that benchmark within our state. Now we will have scores that will be benchmarked against international comparisons. So in the short term, for 2011-12, the current WKCE scores for proficiency remain in place, but they'll begin field testing NAEP cut scores, that's that international benchmark, on the WKCE. So next year you'll see both that 90%, that most of us are scoring in the district in those grade levels, but we'll also receive another international comparison, which we know will be lower because of that international piece coming with it. And then in 2012-13, they'll finalize the NAEP cut scores following some field test results. So it's just to give you a little sense of we're kind of in a major transition year over the next 2 years. Then we'll have new Common Core standards, new state assessments, and we'll start a whole new kind of, I guess, a new way of doing business. So in preparation, the district is currently obviously monitoring all the anticipated changes. We're waiting to see what's approved at the federal level and what comes to the state level. The Learning and Program Development Committee has been part of the discussions on those various accountability improvements and reforms. And the administration as a whole is confident that the current work that we're doing and putting in place will create a system that will support these changes, these up and coming changes. So thank you. If there's any questions.
Any other questions for Sandy?
Can I just make
Mary,
a comment? Sandy, looking at the new NAEP comparison on the WKCE that starts next year, correct?
Correct.
What can we expect in that dip in the scores?
The grids I've seen are, if you're at about like the 89th percentile currently in the WKCE, you will be at about the 47th percentile with the new international NAEP comparison. So quite a drastic change.
And, I think the important thing here is to realize the standards that we've used previously are not the standards reflected in the NAEP scores or NAEP test assessment, and also that international comparisons are kind of like apples and oranges. When we think of which students are tested from other countries, we test all of our students, and in a number of other countries, that's not the same. Their secondary education is really, those students go on to technical schools or work, and then there are students that go on to the university systems, but they're tested in high school. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Any other questions for Sandy? Brian?
Yeah, just a comment. Yeah, it would be interesting for me to get a little bit more detail on the what is the benchmark internet. I don't know how we get that, but I am concerned that I like the idea that we're looking at a benchmark greater than just Wisconsin.
Correct.
But I have friends that live in China, right, and they talk about the number of kids that actually go to high school that probably are receiving this test is maybe, I don't know, it could be 10% of the population. Mm-hmm. So we're benchmarking ourselves against 10%. I don't know if that's the actual number or not, but I would be very interested to know what we're benchmarking ourselves against. I don't know if we can get that data, because you could look at it and you could say, it's great that we're doing that, but why did we used to be at 90%, now we're at 47? I really want to understand what we're measuring ourselves against. I'm not sure if that data will be available or not.
Right. And I'm going to assume that once we see some decisions made at the federal level and then back to the state, that there'll be more information I can share.
Okay. That's my only comment.
The Department of Public Instruction is certainly concerned about the confusion that this change is going to cause, and that might be one thing that we communicate back to them. That's a good point, Brian, and maybe we can get some comparison information that will help explain this.
So, because I'm all up for high benchmarks and high comparisons.
Just make it apples
to
apples.
I am getting a little tired of hearing, the educational system in the U.S. Is somewhat below all these other countries when I know what's going on in some of these countries, and the benchmark that we're comparing ourselves against is such a smaller percentage of the total child population that's in education. So I just want to make sure we know what we're comparing ourselves against, so we don't.
Right.
Sandy, I had two questions for you. I'll start with one that's related to the question Brian just asked. So knowing that as we move to the NAEP score, which is this international standard, and it might not be a pure apples-to-apples comparison, do we have any sense for some of our neighboring states that we often would compare ourselves to in terms of the performance of our students relative to the performance of students graduating from high schools in Minnesota or some of the other regional states? Do you have any sense that they're hearing that their new standard scores will fall as precipitously as ours will?
I'd say the conversation I've heard is everyone's expecting them to fall. I haven't heard, I mean, obviously the one we're closest to is Minnesota. I have not seen any kind of grid where they're sharing how theirs would look with a new cut score.
That also would be helpful, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second question that I had, unrelated to the scores specifically, I was curious, do we have a sense for when we expect to hear from the Department of Education on the waiver that was submitted by the state?
I get the sense it could be any day.
Okay.
I mean, sometime this spring, I'm assuming they're going to hear.
All right. Thank you.
I have,
Go ahead, Pat.
Madam President. Okay, we're going to do the international test, but are we going to also do one, or is that going to be the one we'll use to compare all over the United States? So we have that in comparison, not just international, or is there another test that's taken for just within our nation?
Right. The new Smarter Balanced Assessment is the one that the majority of the states have agreed to. So it's going to be sort of a national test. I mean, many of the states are on board with that. So that'll be our new state test. But what they're doing then is they're taking that and benchmarking it against the NAEP assessment, which is a national assessment. In our district, or in the state of Wisconsin, they randomly select districts and students to take that NAEP assessment to come up with a Wisconsin score. So not all students take that international test. It's just a random selection process for the students that participate in that assessment.
For the international?
For the international.
So it'll be more close to what the other nations do then? Like are we able to take our 10% highest people and do it? Oh, it's
no.
A draw.
When we select our random, they are the whole gamut from our lowest to our highest, the whole group. There's no selection process.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, I'm not saying it is 10%. I just using that as an example, right? So I just want to make sure that we.
Well, I know. They
make
pass
sure
a
that,
test
we
to
don't
get
have
up
that
there.
reported. That's a fact.
But I think your comment, Pat, is appropriate. Wow. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Sandy. Diane, are there any citizens' requests to speak this evening? All right. So we will move on to the topics for action. If there is someone who would be willing to move approval of the consent agenda items, reading the language for the Director of Financial Services Distributions.
Madam President, I move the consent agenda items, as well as that the Director of Financial Services be authorized to pay bills in the amount of $794,861.37.
Motion by Lynn. Is there a second? Second by Dan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports. We have two committee reports this evening. The first will be Facilities and Grounds. Tom.
Okay. March 26th was our last meeting. We had two agenda items, one of which was covered somewhat by Tim tonight, updating on the St. Croix Meadows purchase process. There's been a number, of assessments being done and determining the appropriateness or the feasibility or the viability of the land and structures and so forth. There's going to be a continued effort with that and an additional assessment called an ALTA assessment, which is just a little higher detail. So it's just kind of a natural progression of the next step for assessing the land and structures. In addition to that, there has been a more recent land survey completed which preliminarily is showing it as being 130 acres, not 126 acres as originally thought. So that's still a bit underway, but so it's kind of a work in progress, and all of this, of course, needs to be done before closing, and that's what we're moving toward. The final agenda item was just an upgrade to the imaging of our security cameras in our schools. Our security cameras are proving to be very important from, obviously, from a security and safety standpoint. And we've noticed that the resolution on those cameras isn't of the quality that we would like it to be. And so we are moving and dedicating some resources to making sure that those images are elevated so that our administrative staff, principals, and so forth can do their job in protecting our students. So, questions?
Other questions for Tom? Hearing none, moving on to Personnel Committee. Mark.
Thanks, Barb. The Personnel Committee also met March 26th, quite a short agenda. We discussed some coordinator contract renewals and the planning for our superintendent's evaluation, which I believe is scheduled 1 week from tonight. And then lastly, just a short closed session, a discussion of preliminary and final non-renewal of specific teachers and support staff.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Other questions for Mark? All right. With that, we will move to adjourn to a closed session. If there is a board member who would be willing to make that motion, reading the language from the agenda.
I so move.
Reading the language from the agenda.
Okay, where's this at? I move that we adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paragraph 1, paragraph C, to consider preliminary reduction, layoff of Pacific support employees, and final non-renewal of specific teachers. And para B, para F, to consider disciplinary data of an employee which, if discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the person.
Motion by Pat. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. We'll do a roll call vote.
Bell, aye.
Robson, aye.
Holland, aye.
Van Loon and I.
German, aye.
Kaiser shot aye.
We are adjourned to closed session. We will not be returning to open session. Thank you for coming this evening.
The best yet.